Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Hollywood panics as cable ad sales revenue in total collapse. Coming from Breitbart, AMC stock drops 10% due to 13% ad revenue collapse. 13% is not a small amount of money. If you look at your earnings every week, if you're on a weekly payroll, let's say, and you take off 13%, that's a big cut. But if you look at how much money you have left over after all of your expenses, and then you take away 13% of your total earnings, that might be all the money you had left aside. That's like the damage that's being done to Hollywood producing content for these cable channels, these linear networks. Their bottom line is dropping out. Also from Breitbart, CNN and other Warner Bros. Discovery networks see advertising revenue plunge 11% as viewership plummets. Here's the problem. The problem is they all have to compete with streaming services for advertising money. Linear channels, cable channels, really can't compete with streaming services effectively. From The Hollywood Reporter, an asteroid is about to hit Upfront. Netflix and Amazon are crashing TV's annual advertising scramble. Will the networks crater? If they don't crater in 2024, they're probably going to crater in 2025 or 2026. Crater's a bad word. It means them getting completely crushed. Netflix never planned on doing advertising ever. They had planned on offering an entertainment service that would be completely free of advertising. They only started to offer advertising in 2022. Back in 2019, they were telling everyone, look, even though there are other streaming services coming on board, we are not going to touch advertising. In this letter to shareholders in 2019, they explain competition. Over the next 12 months, Disney, Apple, Warner Media, NBCU, and others are joining Hulu, Amazon, BBC, Hotstar, YouTube, Netflix, and many others in offering streaming entertainment. The competition for winning customers' relaxation time is fierce for all companies and great for consumers. The innovation of streaming services is also drawing consumers to shift more and more from linear television to streaming entertainment. We still only earn about 10% of consumers' television time and less of their mobile screen time, so we have much room for growth. We, like HBO, are advertising free. That remains a deep part of our brand proposition. When you read speculation that we are moving into selling advertising, be confident that this is false. We believe we will have a more valuable business in the long term by staying out of competing for ad revenue and instead entirely focusing on competing for viewer satisfaction. That was Netflix in 2019. In 2024, not only are they in advertising, they're crushing the competition. And analysts are saying don't even touch Disney stock because even though Disney is actually generating billions of dollars in direct-to-consumer streaming service revenue, they're not going to do it successfully. From Quartz, don't buy Disney stock because Netflix will win the streaming wars, according to this analyst. And of course, Netflix is the only seriously profitable streaming company as of now. That's not expected to change anytime soon. So these Hollywood production studios that rely on cable revenue had better start relying on something else pretty quickly, and advertising revenue for their failing streaming services is not going to be enough. From Breitbart, AMC stock drops 10% due to 13% ad revenue collapse. There's a fascinating thread running through these quarterly reports from left-wing Hollywood. They all deliver good numbers such as subscriber increases, but the stock still drops. Last week it was Disney, this week it's AMC. And also Warner Bros. Discovery got hit pretty hard. During the first quarter of 2024, AMC enjoyed a 2% jump in streaming subscribers, 300,000 new subscribers. It currently sits at 11.5 million subscribers. Streaming revenues climbed 3% to $145 million when compared to the year prior. However, AMC Networks reported its first quarterly earnings on Friday, noting a 13% drop in U.S. ad revenue to $140 million due to a linear ratings decline and challenging ad market. Streaming subscribers to AMC Plus, meanwhile, ticked up to 11.5 million, an increase of 300,000 subscribers since March 2023. Following this reported decline, the company's stock fell roughly 10%. An hour and a half after AMC's earnings call concluded, the company's stock was listed at $12.35 a share. The company's stock has fallen about 34% when accounting for year to date. That's a dramatic drop. Why would you put money into a company that seems like it's falling apart? What's going on? This is another example of how the death of cable TV and satellite TV is killing these left-wing entertainment outlets. And it's all right there. Linear ratings decline and a challenging ad market. Linear ratings are based on the number of cable TV and satellite TV viewers, and with millions and millions of people cutting the cable cord every quarter, fewer and fewer have cable, so fewer and fewer have access to AMC, and then fewer and fewer watch AMC. The result is a decline in ad revenue. What isn't noted here is a decline in carriage fees, the dollar amount that AMC collects for every household that carries its network. But here's what Wall Street knows already. Streaming revenues will never make up for the crippling losses coming from the slow death of cable TV and satellite TV. Outlets like AMC made billions off of cable TV and satellite TV it never earned. If AMC was part of your cable TV or satellite TV package, you paid AMC a carriage fee whether you watched it or not. Just like ESPN, you pay a lot of money every month for ESPN whether you watch it or not. This was free money for AMC based on zero merit. They didn't earn those dollars. They only earned their way into that basic package. CNN, MTV, Comedy Central, and others enjoy the same affirmative action. Streaming terrifies Hollywood because it's merit-based. AMC has to produce content people actually want to watch to attract and keep subscribers. Hollywood cannot survive based on merit, at least not as lucratively as it did with cable and satellite TV's affirmative action. And another problem for outlets like AMC is that streaming is hugely popular, and streaming is eating into ad dollars. And it's not just paid subscription services running ads now. They also have to compete with Pluto, Freevee, Tubi, and Roku. Woke Hollywood is coming apart. They're going to have to earn their viewers if they want to earn their revenue. And here's what's happening inside the advertising markets. For linear TV, it's not just linear TV presenting there anymore. Now they need to deal with Netflix, Prime, YouTube, massive competitors that are winning ad dollars and that are also able to kind of customize their offerings to these advertisers. Very difficult to compete if all you have is your linear cable network that's failing. From The Hollywood Reporter, an asteroid is about to hit Upfront. Netflix and Amazon are crashing TV's annual advertising scramble. Will the networks crater? If the 2023 Upfronts were about disruption, the 2024 Upfronts are about disruption with a capital D. Linear TV, the linchpin of the ad business for Hollywood, is rapidly eroding. At the same time, this is the year that the streaming behemoths have decided to go for the ad jugular, with Netflix planning an immersive experience for media buyers and Amazon storming into Upfronts only months after turning on commercials for its millions of Prime Video users, both of them joining YouTube during this critical week in New York. It's one thing for the cable channels to have to deal with, okay, look, we've got people that are canceling their cable subscriptions, but you should still advertise with us because we have a pretty wide coverage of viewership. The truth is, you don't even really know that many people are actually watching your shows or watching the advertising that are on those shows. The streaming services have very strict tracking in terms of who's watching what on each of these channels. When it comes to a cable channel, it's not unusual for people to have a few favorite cable channels, maybe even 3 or 4 cable channels, turn on the cable channel when they get home from work, leave it playing on in the background. Maybe they watch some of it, maybe they don't watch it. But it's just kind of there in the background. When there are ads on those channels, people aren't even really watching them, but the ads are there, they're in the background. That's what people are used to with linear TV advertising. Netflix, YouTube, streaming services that are ad-supported are actually dealing with people that are selecting shows that are probably watching the shows when they get selected. It's different from linear TV. There really is more attention and more engagement going on when you advertise on a streaming service. It's also, of course, much more targeted. How can linear compete with that? They really can't compete with it. And now Netflix, Prime, and YouTube are aggressively in that space, in addition to other streaming services and free streaming services that are seeking those same ad dollars. If linear TV doesn't die in 2024, it's going to die pretty soon. It was a great technology while it lasted, but the technology is definitely dead now. Linear TV is on the ropes at the same time when the media legacy needs it most to get over that streaming chasm. Quote, we're not kidding ourselves into thinking this is going to be some gangbusters Upfront. It's going to be challenging again. according to one ad sales chief with exposure to linear TV, so he sells linear TV. Another TV ad sales chief adds that they were focused on flexibility and transparency with ad partners, basically asking them what they wanted and figuring out a way to deliver it. And some analysts are even more bearish. Quote, decades from now, media executives and investors will likely look back at 2023 as the year where linear TV advertising officially broke, according to MoffettNathanson analyst Michael Nathanson, who also said, it's now clear that outside of sports advertising, there should no longer be expectations of a recovery for linear TV advertising. So as bad as we all know it is with people canceling their cable TV and their paid linear channels that we've all paid for years and sometimes in the case of us, decades if we're older, it's worse than that. Their ad revenue is getting taken away. Multiple top ad sales executives say that sports will be one of the top selling points during an otherwise challenging year, with athletes and studio hosts expected on stage at multiple presentations. But about those sports ads, a senior executive who buys advertising says they think live sports could end up being north of 40% of this year's upfront spend, thanks to strong demand. But there's also an asterisk. Quote, what we're evaluating really closely is whether or not the traditional media companies that also have sports are trying to raise prices so much in sports in order to offset their loss in entertainment sales. That's how bad it is. Juice up the sports revenue advertising to try to cover for the loss in entertainment. It's really collapsing. The decline in entertainment programming is the hole in linear TV sinking ship. Quote, I don't think that the networks are making as much of an effort and putting quality content on those linear channels as they had, say, 5 or 10 years ago, according to media consultant Brad Adgate. If they didn't have this legacy of decades behind them as an advertising platform, if this was something brand new they were offering, I think they would get very little advertiser support. It's called legacy media for a reason. Quote, we've seen it in the Nielsen ratings, but it's not unexpected. It's been going on for years now, and there aren't any media companies that are trying to change that trend. They're not investing in traditional primetime entertainment. Streaming, however, is. But while the traditional entertainment companies lose collective billions on their direct-to-consumer platforms, the tech giants and the only truly profitable streaming platform, Netflix, are coming for their lunch. But it's not surprising to me that they're doing this. I mean, look, they're sitting there and they're seeing $20 billion being transacted, and they have better content and a better story to tell, in often cases to the advertising community. Why shouldn't you be in there? 1 year after hosting a strike-induced virtual upfront, Netflix is planning a massive immersive experience in the Chelsea Piers complex, with co-CEO Ted Sarandos promising on the company's last earnings call, quote, for a lot of entertainment in store for the upfront event. And for the first time, Amazon is pushing into Upfront Week, hoping to leverage the Prime Video audience, now ad-supported, to steal market share from linear. And then there's YouTube. The video platform is already a behemoth. It had more than $31 billion in advertising revenue last year, but it wants a bigger piece of the upfront pie. It secured the closing night spot during Upfront Week, where executives will gladly tout its reach on living room TV sets by noting it has more viewing time than Netflix. A top TV executive worries there's too much supply and not enough demand. And on the horizon, deeper concerns persist. As scary as the ad market is now, it could always get worse. Further war in the Middle East or Europe, disruptions during the 2024 election, more surprise interest rate hikes, any of those things could cause further advertising pullback given the propensity for caution. Woke Hollywood is getting absolutely destroyed by technology. Streaming services are an absolute necessity for all of these Hollywood companies. The problem with the streaming services is not only do they not have a head start like Netflix has, but they have content that a lot of people aren't passionate about seeing. If you're not going to have content that people are actually going to watch, you aren't going to even be able to sell advertising next to that content. The only reason we watch ads is because we're willing to watch the ads while we wait for the content. But that's for entertainment we actually want to see that's actually entertaining. All of the propaganda-induced content that Hollywood has focused themselves on trying to push out, it's not the kind of shows that people want to see that they're willing to wait through ads for. Hollywood desperately needs this revenue from cable. They need the carriage fees. They need the advertising revenue, and they're not getting it. And this is why their stocks are getting trashed. Netflix is a distribution business that also produces content. The Hollywood studios are content businesses that also distribute some of their own content. Hollywood has been abusing their power for years now, trying to push propaganda through their entertainment. They've abused their power so much that now they've lost their power. Now, if they produce things that people don't want to see, it's going to bomb wherever they offer it. And that's the main reason why they're getting destroyed with their streaming services, while Netflix just keeps going along and making an absolute fortune. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another story. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.